Hello, my name is Richard Klock, and I have a couple of knives to share with you today, talk a little bit about them, a little bit of work that I did to them out in the shop today. For those of you who may have watched some of my other knife modification videos, you'll know that a lot of times I will make some changes to knives, such as anodizing the titanium, tumbling the blades, acid etching the blades, things like that. And sometimes some knives that I own or modify for others don't need quite as much work done, or maybe it's just a little bit of TLC and cleanup, and that's the case with these. So I wanted to talk a little bit about these knives and the maker and so forth. These are Jason Clark custom knives. Jason is a part-time custom knife maker out of Florida, and I own two of his flippers. Hope to get more because he is one of my favorite makers. And the reason for that is because I just really like his design style. I like flippers, they're my favorite, and I like flippers that are really, really smooth, and his definitely fall into that category. So let me talk a little bit about these two knives and talk a little bit about the time that they spent out in my workshop this afternoon. So I'll go into this first one here. This first one is a 3.5-inch Tanto style flipper, and it has a really beautiful scale here. This half of the scale is done in titanium, and this half of the scale here is done in zirconium, and they make a really nice pairing together. It's got a beautiful, gorgeous tone to the zirconium. It's a dark, wavy pattern there. And then the carbon fiber is really, really nice looking as well. So what I did with this one is I tightened up the pivot a little bit because it was flipping what I thought a little bit too easy. It still flips really nice, but I gave the pivot just a little bit of extra turn to tighten it up a little bit. And I sharpened the blade this afternoon. Jason Clark's blades are very, very, he uses a very, very thin edge. You'll note there that there's not much there as far as an edge is concerned. So I wanted to keep that styling. I didn't want to, this knife is really neat because it's got a etched and tumbled cutout here, and then the flats are satin. So I certainly didn't want to put a big burly edge on this. So I wanted to keep his really, really fine edge that he does. So this is actually at a 30-degree sharpening angle, which is really, really high of an angle. And so it's tough to get steel to hold much of an edge at a 30-degree angle. But this is CPM 154, and it's did really well. I also sharpened the end of the Tanto cut there. So it's pretty sharp now. Not like wicked sharp, but it'll slice the edge of paper pretty good. So much better than it was. I bought this knife secondhand, and it needed a little bit of TLC. You'll see Jason Clark's maker's mark there. And the really nice finish that this has, the acid etch tumble on the recessed area there, and then satin on the flats. So what I did is I took this scale off, and when I did that, I was surprised to find it's actually two separate pieces. The zirconium and the carbon fiber are two separate pieces, which is surprising because it has a really smooth transition here from one to the other. So I took these off, tightened the pivot up, sharpened the blade, and then I polished the carbon fiber. This was more of a matte, dull finish on the carbon fiber, and I'm not sure if it came that way or if it just got that way from wear and from age, but I wanted to give it a little bit of a shine because it's got a really nice pattern to it, and I just thought a shine would show it off really nice. So what I did on this one is I used Flitz. Here's Flitz polish. Metal, plastic, and fiberglass, and certainly carbon fiber would fit into the fiberglass category. So this works really well on carbon fiber. And so I did this one by hand with a cloth in my finger, and I just made little circles on the carbon fiber. And I wasn't trying to go for crazy shine, just to bring out a little bit of a luster. And then here's the back side. I didn't make any changes. There's a little bit of wear on the pocket clip, but that's okay. Doesn't bother me. Really interesting design here with the 4 holes. Nice finger grooves. Rides on a IKBS bearing system. I didn't take this one apart, so I didn't get into the bearing system on this one. It was flipping pretty well, and you'll notice here that it flips really, really nice. I didn't Loctite the pivot screw. If it loosens up on me over the next couple of months or weeks, I'll probably go ahead and take these pieces off, take the pivot screw out, put some Loctite on it, and put it back in. But in this case, I just gave it just maybe of 1/8 of a turn, just to tighten up the pivot just a little bit. And it seems to have been, it puts it right at where I want it. Just a little bit of resistance when I go to close it, which is kind of what I'm looking for. Still flips really nice. Easy to flip. You don't have to preload. Just a great, great knife. Very classy looking. More of a gentleman's folder than not really a tactical style. So I just love Jason Clark's designs. Beautiful knife. So that's my first, one of my Jason Clarks, and then this is my newest one. This is my second one. You'll notice if I put these two side by side here that they're about the same length, really close. The orange one's a little bit shorter, but it's quite a bit thinner. This one's much beefier. This one's a lot thinner, smaller, easy to carry. And this one definitely needed TLC. The G10 here was dirty, had a couple of black spots that weren't coming off with just like a normal like WD-40 or a 409 kind of a spray. So it needed, this scale definitely needed some more attention than that one did. So what I did is I took this scale off, took these 4 screws off, and also this one wasn't flipping as good as that one, so I did a full disassembly. Now this is IKBS, so anytime you take IKBS completely apart, it can be quite a challenge. And this one has some of the smallest ball bearings I've ever seen. I mean, they are really tiny, but relatively easy to work with. Look at the beautiful file work on this one. It's a stainless steel back spacer with just gorgeous, gorgeous file work. So anyway, what I did is I took this scale off. This is one piece, and it looks like probably epoxied or glued together. And so what I did is, again, I used the Flitz, but this time I used my Dremel tool, and with a fiber wheel, just buffed this entire scale out. And you'll notice that we have now a nice glossy finish on the G10. It'll fade as I carry it and use it, but that's okay. At least it's nice and clean now. I didn't go too crazy with the Flitz and with the Dremel to the point where I was trying to smooth out the texture. You'll notice the texture is still there in the G10, but it's got a nice shine to it now. And then also I did the same on the carbon fiber, and you'll see it's got a nice shine to it as well. The back side here is looks like a blasted, maybe a blasted and then a tumble, as the way I think this is the way it came from Jason. And we'll flip this one. You'll notice this one has a thinner blade. We'll put them both side by side here. This one has a thinner blade. The orange one does. And so this one is a carbon fiber G10 split. Same Tanto style blade. Also did a sharpening on this blade as well. Again, sticking with the really, really thin edge that Jason puts on all of his knives. I wanted to make sure I kept that. So this again is done at 30 degrees. Also did the Tanto portion of the blade again at 30 degrees. Keep it really tight. And this one is sharp, and it'll cut paper really well. This is just a standard satin finish all the way through on the blade. This one is also IKBS and flips really, really well. Closes nice and easy as well. Did a pretty good tighten on the pivot. I did Loctite this one since I had it completely apart anyway. Center up is really nice. Just a great example of another Jason Clark Tanto, super good flipper. So that's a couple of hours spent working on these today, giving them a nice polish, giving them the blades a sharpen up, cleaning them up, put some oil inside the bearings on this one and cleaned everything inside. So they're all basically good, like not next to new now. So they had their TLC, what we'll call like a spa treatment. So those are my Jason Clarks. Love these knives. Definitely plan on adding additional Jason Clarks to my collection. I like the orange mixed with the carbon fiber here. I think this is a sharp looking knife, and this is a great option to grab when you're looking for something that's really small but you like a flipper. It's nice too because it's really small, but yet it's a long blade. It's about 3¼ inch blade, so really close to the same length. This is a 3½ inch blade with a quite a bit thicker, chunkier handle, and this one is just more like a complete dress knife, perfect for like wearing with a suit. And then this one is a great, really small, easy to carry, flips great. Orange looks really cool. And so yeah, 2 Jason Clarks that got a nice freshening and a spot treatment this weekend. If you have a knife that you would like to have modified, cared for, or otherwise worked on, please contact me. My email address is richardclock@gmail.com, and I will post a note to that effect with that email address up in the corner as well. Thank you.